You're still here.
So nice of you to join us today.
Obviously.
For show 62.
That trade notification didn't go as well as I thought it would.
Still in the queue.
Mike Johnson, Chris Johnson, Johnson & Johnston for Sara Lesky.
All right. I told you.
And it still wouldn't be
fine.
worth all that you're worth to the show.
Just shush. Welcome to Check-In, everybody. On this fine Saturday afternoon, I'm Sara Lesky. He is Jamie Thomas. We are getting you set for game 62 of the Winnipeg Jets regular season tonight against the Vancouver Canucks. I know it's pretty crazy to think in some ways that we're already at that point. The Jets continued this 8-game homestand. They got another win against Tampa. We will talk about that in a bit.
That feels like last week now with all the stuff
and
that
it was
happened.
only Thursday.
Yeah.
But they play the Canucks tonight, who come in off of a big win against Chicago last night. Jeff Paterson is going to join us in just a little bit. He hosts Rink-Wide Vancouver post-game show. He's also a regular contributor to Sakaris and Price and has covered the Canucks for decades. So looking forward to hearing from him to help set up the game. But obviously, the big news.
Oh, we also have Stephen Ellis.
Yes. To talk
Prospect guru.
Yes, to talk about some of the big news from yesterday.
Yeah, that's like that trade
deadline.
Well, it's like Friday morning, right? No. Yeah, Friday morning that trade happened.
Also
like ages ago.
Thursday night. But let's start with it.
Right.
Let's start with the first trade that the Jets had with the Buffalo Sabres, which happened right after that game or shortly after that game against Tampa on Thursday night. News came out that Luke Schenn and Logan Stanley, two players that were talked about a lot about potentially being on the move during this trade deadline, were in fact on the move and headed to Buffalo. What do you think of the trade as you take a look at not only those two leaving, but obviously what Winnipeg gets back?
Well, we talked about this a lot, Sarah, is the fact that the Jets are a draft and develop organization and they need draft picks. And they were missing both their second and fourth round picks in this upcoming draft and then the 2027 draft. That's pretty big for them. So for Kevin Chevy, I'll get to the players eventually here. The fact that he's brought back a second and a fourth, that's fantastic on top of that. But to get a kid like Isak Rosén, Swedish player, 22 years old, he scored 85 goals in the American Hockey League. He's got a great shot. Some guys were saying he looks like Nikolai Ehlers today. Ironically, he's wearing number 27 here today.
Yeah.
Great shot, great speed. There's a lot of skill in there as well.
He's a first-round pick.
14th overall in 2021. That was a little bit before the Jets got Chaz Lucius in that same draft.
Yep.
So Winnipeg obviously was familiar with him, having gone through the draft process in that. And then, of course, Jacob Bryson, a young defenseman, been the Buffalo Sabres organization for 7 years. Same as with Rosén, is that Buffalo has had a lot of draft picks over the years because they've been rebuilding, and kind of there wasn't enough space for either player. And the Winnipeg Jets are hopefully going to benefit from those players coming to this organization.
Yeah. As you mentioned, Stephen Ellis from Daily Faceoff is going to join us, so we'll get some more information about those players from him as well. Let's take a look at what the projected lines are, because both of them are going to be in the lineup tonight. Also, can we make note of the return? Not to downplay, but the Jets are also getting the number one defenseman back.
The guy that's staring into you right into your soul right now.
Fantastic news if you are a Jets fan. Josh Morrissey returning to the lineup. He, of course, has missed all 5 games since coming out of the Olympic break, injured while playing for Team Canada over in Italy. So great to see him back. But you take a look at where these two are slotted in. Brad Lambert also called up from the Manitoba Moose, so he's going to start on that fourth line. But what do you think about what you're seeing with respect to up front and then the pairing as well?
Well, you can't touch your top 6 forward group right now as this moment. So Rosén eventually is, going to be in the mix, hopefully down the road here into that top 6 group. But to go with Jonathan Toews and Gustav Nyquist, who, by the way, scored his first goal as a Jet the other night. That also felt like it happened forever ago. I like what we're seeing here. Brad Lambert and Rosén are going to be on the second power play unit. So Brad Lambert may be on the fourth line, but he's going to get some looks on the second power play unit as well. So it almost feels, and Salomonson's still here as well. So just think of all the things Jets fans have been kind of hoping for or asking for. Is for Brad Lambert. Guys from the Manitoba Moose getting opportunities. They wanted Ellis Salomonsson to get a shot. He's got a shot. He's been here. He's going to stay here for the rest of the year. Brad Lambert, people have been hoping for that. So he's going to get a long look. Ville Heinola will be the odd man out here tonight, but will likely be back in and out of the lineup as the season goes along here. So all these players that people have been hoping for are getting looks.
Let's see. Look, anyone find out the correct pronunciation? Go for it.
Isaac Rosen.
Isaac Rosen.
Yeah.
There
Yes.
you go.
Yeah, I know. It's he'll be called Rosen a lot, but it's Rosen.
Great to see so many of you in the chat. Somebody also asking Lambert in for Dewar. Yes, Walker Dewar was reassigned back to the Manitoba Moose. And love to see so many of you in there. Would love to also know your opinions on what you saw from trade deadline respect.
It wasn't very exciting.
I mean, it really wasn't. We could talk in a little bit about all of the names that we expected
James
to
Duffy
see move.
Yesterday.
Yeah, it was a long day. I mean, thank goodness they have as many great bits as they do and a cast of thousands because you need it when there are as few trades as what we said. I think there were 20.
Yeah, but it was like 10 right when the deadline had passed.
Yeah, so there wasn't a lot. But as we mentioned, so the newly acquired, your newest Winnipeg Jets are here, will play tonight, and they spoke to the media this morning after taking part in morning skate.
Actually, all three of them with Lambo too. All three of them going right in. Lambo and Rosie will both be in that power play, and we'll get Jacob in on some PK, and it's. We're still kind of with the roster situation and injuries and all that. So the recalls, which you're allowed to do. So we're kind of right at with our forward numbers, that way. So we'll just kind of hang tough there. And Billy will be the extra for tonight.
Yeah, and the decision to have both Brad and Isaac on that second power play unit, is that just, get them in, get them involved, let them show off their skills? I mean,
it's also all of our injuries as well, too. Some people are out, but at the same time, that's what they do. Both of those guys that's part of their part of their DNA of what it is that they add to the game. And so, in Rosie's situation, that is something that he's done this year, and Lambo's done it as well. And so, we want to get him in those situations, put them in a position where they can have success.
It's a dream, to hear that. I've been trying to get stay in NHL for a while now. Got a lot of call-ups, but just maybe one game or two games and stuff like that. So it's a really good opportunity for me, and I'm thankful for that opportunity, and I'm gonna do my best to make the best out of it.
I feel like just being a reliable two-way defender, breaking pucks out, and I feel like good defense leads the offense. So I feel like I'm a defense-first mindset, but also jump in the rush and providing the little offense too would be a big help.
So imagine you're Jacob Bryson. You've been with the Buffalo Sabres for 7 years, and he mentioned today I was part of that 16-game losing streak. Like Buffalo, how many times we come on the show and go, "I feel so bad for Sabres fans."
Yeah,
we don't have to say that anymore. And I saw the comment in there about if the Jets don't make the playoffs, still lots of time, they will be cheering for the Buffalo Sabres, which I can see why.
For it, yeah. I'm just happy to see Buffalo do. So
yeah.
I'm happy to see Columbus do as well as they are.
Detroit's
too.
If
we're talking about organizations and fan bases in particular that you want to be able to see have some success, and obviously with Rick Bonus being there as well. For them. Okay, so that was how things ended. Really Thursday night. And then Friday, as we mentioned, there weren't a lot in the way of trades. And then late in the afternoon, it looked as if just before deadline, which happened at 2:00 Central, that the Jets weren't going to make any additional moves. And then one came in pretty much under the wire. It was announced, I think, just after.
This is a classic Chevy move, right? It's just right before the deadline, player for pick.
Yeah. So Tanner Pearson, another name that we had seen, obviously, here in his first season with Winnipeg, but had just signed that 1-year deal as an unrestricted free agent. And Kevin Cheveldayoff spoke afterwards about how you're trying to find for a player like Pearson, who obviously is a longtime veteran in this league. You're trying to find a fit that works for him, not really as concerned about what you get back in the process.
And because he was a great soldier, and you heard a lot. You even heard that about Luke Schenn and everything he did for the Jets to help them get through that, survive that series against St. Louis, and then clearly against the Dallas Stars. So a lot of good people going out, but the future looks bright for the Winnipeg Jets after these moves, and certainly the present as well. So if you don't believe what we're saying about Isaac Rosen, somebody knows a lot about him, because his job is to pay attention to the people that go through the NHL draft process and then follow them afterwards. Does a great job for Daily Faceoff. It's Stephen Ellis joining us now on Check-In. So, Stephen, first off, thank you so much for making your debut on the show. Love the backdrop behind you. Big question is, what do the Winnipeg Jets have in Isaac Rosen?
Well, they've got a guy that's been a highly touted prospect for a long time, and you look at him, he's 22 years old. He was a first round pick, and the things that kind of stand out about his game is how quick he is. He's just you'll watch. I've seen him up close many times, probably 20, 30 times over the last couple of years, and you just watch him just blow by people like it's so easy. And he's maybe not the biggest guy, but he makes up for it by the stuff he does with the puck. He's very good puck handler. He's got a good shot, and then you look at those numbers he's had the last couple of years: 25 goals in 37 games this year in the AHL.
Right.
Look at the NHL, he's been very good this year at Buffalo too. So it just like this is a player that wants the puck on his stick at all times, and he makes things happen very consistently.
Steve, obviously with prospects, and we just talked about this earlier in the show, when you are with a team like Buffalo's had a ton of draft picks over the years, they're rebuilding. Sometimes you get squeezed out because there's just not enough room. Is that the case with Rosanna, in your opinion?
Yeah, it felt like that for sure. Like I know that was a player that was in trade rumors even heading into last year's draft. It's like, okay, we've got a lot of high-end forwards. Where do we kind of fit him into the situation? Because every time he'd get called up, he'd play 8, 9, 10 minutes a game. He wasn't getting a ton of opportunities, and he played a much bigger role when he started earlier in the year, back in November of Buffalo. The last couple of times he played, again, it was more in that third or fourth line role, but it feels like for him, like if he's in a scoring situation, he's going to make the most of it because he has shown that where he had to play a lot of minutes early in the season and he's got 7 points in 16 games. Well, 7 of those points came like right at the beginning. Like he was getting them all at the start when he's playing a lot more. So it just feels like it was just a matter of time until the opportunity was going to open up for him to play more and become more effective.
So he's wearing number 27. Of course, lots of people in this market would love the fact that he's anything something near what Nikolai Ehlers is. Is there a fair comparison between the two players at all?
I could see it. Just a guy that's just creative. He's got that speed who can go out there and do a lot of things in the offensive zone. And the fact is, like, I know a lot of Sabres fans were worried, like, what's the situation here? How was he going to be able to fit into this team? And I feel like this might be exactly what Winnipeg actually really needed here. A guy that could go out there and you could feel comfortable putting him in the top 6 right away. You could put him on the third line. And I feel like as long as you're still giving him those opportunities to go out there and play a quick game on the rush and spend a lot of time in the offensive zone, that's where he's going to be very effective.
I know you have a lot of familiarity with Brad Labyrinth. That seems like the situation here in Winnipeg. There was the conversation earlier in the year about him wanting to not be here. Now it looks like he's going to get his shot. And with the remaining 20 or so games here, how huge of an opportunity do you believe this is for Brad Lambert for the Jets organization?
It's a huge opportunity. And he's a guy that I've just got a big soft spot for. Like I remember in his draft year, there was just so much about him where you could see that skill and the numbers just weren't there. But then you saw him in the beginning of his career in Manitoba and that pure skill, the adrenaline he brought to every single shift. And I feel like I would love to see him and Rosien play together because they could both play at a high pace. They both got a lot of skill. And it's always fun when you got a situation where these young guys can come in and start to play a big role because, you look at the guys that have been in Manitoba the last couple of years, there's a lot of players you're just really excited to see that next step for. And I feel like in both these cases here, this is the perfect opportunity to close up the season to prove that they are both impact players moving forward.
26, 27 drafts. I know we're kind of ways away from 27, but 26. Jets are a draft and develop organization. They've recouped a couple of picks and added a 7th round pick. What are you seeing in particular from the 26 draft? And is there anything like that you can kind of preview for the Jets fans for the 27 draft, even though it's quite a ways away?
Well, the 2026, I know a lot of people were wondering if it was going to be as deep as some people were kind of hoping. It feels like it's always very easy to overvalue a draft a year in advance, but I feel like if you're drafting the top 10 this year, you're probably very happy just the amount of talent there is. Gavin McKenna, Ivor Stenberg, Keaton Verhoff, and there's also something where it is a bit more balanced this year where even though there's not a ton of great centermen, I think the centers we are looking at here in whether it be Hemming, whether it be Tynan Lawrence, whether it be Caleb Malhotra, the son of Manny Malhotra, you're going to find a lot of talent there. So there's still a lot of good players in this year's draft. 2027, there's a lot of eyes on Landon DuPont, the ever sober tips defenseman. He's been so good in the WHL the last couple of years. And then there's a player out of Quebec, Alexi Joseph. I know we don't tend to see a lot of high-end prospects coming out of the QMJHL, but when it comes to Joseph, he's like 6'4". He seems to score almost every single game. So still a lot of talent there. It's too early to tell if that's a super deep draft. 2028's got a lot of talent. You, Maddox Schultz, like you can keep going down there. But this is a good year, I guess, to be drafted high if you have to.
Well, my friend, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for doing this here this afternoon. And I'm sure Jets fans are all up to date on exactly what they have in Isaac.
Go for it. No, go.
Rosane. Isaac Rosane. You're just getting used to it.
It is something that's
Yeah.
going to take some time.
I appreciate your time, Stephen. All the best to you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much, guys.
Stephen Ellis joining us.
Very nice to have him join. It's always appreciated.
I've been saying Isaac's Rosane over
and over.
And
You've been great. Yeah, but that happens to all of us sometimes.
Yeah.
Where it goes through.
I hear a lot.
Rosane.
I absolutely lots of people are saying they're going to miss Logan Stanley. And I went on Buffalo radio yesterday and they're like, what do they have with this guy? I'm like, this is probably the best comeback story ever in Logan Stanley, especially in this city. Remember how he could
in this city to go from being
he could not do anything right.
He could not.
And he was booed.
Yeah.
And then for him to go to where he is now.
To be cheered. And look, a great opportunity for him. And Logan's such a class act, great guy. I was messaging actually with him yesterday, saying just best wishes to him and his family as they make the move. And he just said how much he has absolutely loved being in Winnipeg. And one thing that Kevin Cheveldayoff said was that one thing.
Listen, I've been doing this show for how long? And she still phones me.
It's the fact you don't put it on silent.
No, I do have it on
don't
silent.
Get.
But she's like an
do
emergency.
Not disturb.
She's an emergency contact. So no matter what, the
it
phone
always
call
goes through.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's very thoughtful of you.
Well, she has an emergency contact.
For it.
In case there's an emergency, which is not in this situation at all.
That's you hope not.
Well,
sound effects on. Exactly. We don't need to add sound effects. Yeah. This just in. For those wondering, did Jamie's wife get picked up from the airport? Yes, she did.
She should. Thank you for remembering and being concerned about her. Home soon. I've been doing the show till 1:00 for 2 years now.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, she just needs to hop on. She'd be such a great addition to the chat.
So you guys can both brutalize me? No thanks. No thanks.
Okay, we haven't had the opportunity to hear from Kevin Cheveldayoff yet. So why don't we run that? He spoke to the media at length yesterday for probably about 30 minutes after the trade deadline was complete.
Wasn't really crystal clear to me, that we would be moving, on from Logan until the aggressiveness of Buffalo when, things did get started there. It became pretty quick to me that this was going to be a path that we were going to go because it addressed some things, that, you hope that you can address going into, a situation like this. It addresses an immediate concern, adding to the prospect pipeline, but someone that is kind of closer to playing and trying to be a player that can grow in the National Hockey League. Second round pick, obviously trying to replenish the cupboard. In those regards as well.
Logan, having spent 4 years with him, and see him grow as a player, and like I've said to you guys, he's did a great job of taking advantage of the opportunity that was put in front of him this year, and went out and played real well, and obviously it's good for him in that opportunity. Luke was a warrior for us coming in at the deadline last year at this time, and playing a big role for us with his experience, helping us get through that St. Louis series, and. Just those are when you move guys out of the room, it's this is part of the makeup, it's part of your character, and those are two good people.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, two people that obviously contributed in the last game as well against Tampa that have been. Luke wasn't around for as long, but 2016 first round pick for Logan Stanley. So we've seen Logan really grow up here within the organization. Let's turn our attention though quickly back to what's happening on the ice right now, and what we saw Thursday night was a huge win against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now Tampa has been struggling since coming out of the Olympic break, but the style
they dominated Tampa though. I thought
the style that they played, the best we have seen in a long time from the Winnipeg Jets, from start to finish. Yeah,
I thought what Tampa could do for the most part came mostly out their power play, but 5-on-5, the Jets dominated them. And after they had lost 3 straight, I thought they were going to come in here a little snarly, but Winnipeg took it to them right away. So really happy with the way that they played. But there was a great moment in the third period.
Yes.
And we've been wondering, we heard Waterloo, which is Gustav Nyquist's goal song.
Yeah.
We heard it against Minnesota, but remember the goal was called back.
Yes.
It was a brilliant individual effort.
Yeah.
It was called offside. So we waited, and it finally happened on Thursday night. Here it is.
He's able to nudge that out. No icing. He's with a little bit of heat on Carlisle. Holmberg checked by Pearson. Good work by Tanner Pearson. Here's Nyquist. Scores! Finally, in his 40th game as a Jet, Gus Nyquist has his first as a Winnipeg Jet.
So well liked in the dressing room, a guy, and you've just been waiting for it. Obviously, it hasn't worked out this season the way that he or the Jets would have hoped in terms of production, but it was a great moment to be able to see him. And it was a great ovation from the fans as well afterwards that really showed the recognition that they have for him.
And I just look at his face afterwards. You could just see pure relief. And afterwards, he was fantastic talking about it. But he said it's been hard, but now it's off the schneid and hopefully can add to it tonight. It will be the Vancouver Canucks providing the opposition for the Winnipeg Jets. It hasn't gone well here as well as people had hoped, and it certainly has not gone well in Vancouver. And here to talk about it is Jeff Paterson from Vancouver. Hey, Jeff, thanks so much for joining us. Obviously, you and Sarah are very well acquainted with one another from her time in Vancouver, but thanks for doing this.
Yeah, great to be with both of you.
Well, looking forward to this game tonight. Now, Vancouver comes in off of a big win against Chicago. Chicago has also had, obviously, their struggles this season. But when you think about the Vancouver Canucks, now that trade deadline is done and we've seen a few players moved out, including former Winnipeg Jet as well, Tyler Myers, trades that happened earlier in the season as well with Quinn Hughes. Give us a sense of where things stand right now with this Canucks team.
Well, the rebuild is on. That much is for certain, and it's kind of hard to find the exact moment when it started. But when the captain wanted out and they made the trade with Minnesota before Christmas, that was certainly an indication that things were a little different around here. Remember, it was 2 years ago, not even 2 years ago, that the Canucks had 50 wins and 109 points and pushed Edmonton to Game 7 of the second round of the playoffs. And with the moves that they made and the trade of Tyler Myers the other day, Filip Hronek is the only defenseman from the 6 that they used
that's
in the playoff
unbelievable.
series that is still on the roster. So life moves fast in the National Hockey League. People were posting pictures of the Game 7 roster, and I think there were 4 players that played that night that are still playing. Of course, Brock Besser didn't play then. He's still here, and Thatcher Demko is part of the organization, but as usual, he's injured and not available. And that's been one of the really, people ask, how are the Canucks in the predicament they are, 10 points behind any other team in the National Hockey League? And they went into the season with sort of 3 flawed premises. And one was that Thatcher Demko, with all of his injuries, was somehow going to stay healthy, and that hasn't happened. Philip Hedl, who they acquired from the Rangers in the JT Miller trade, with all the history of head injuries that he had, they thought somehow that he was going to make it through this season, and he didn't get through the 6th game without being on the injured list, and he's there again. And the hope, obviously, was that Ellis, their highest paid player, was going to bounce back. The air had cleared. The JT Miller strife was behind him, and that just hasn't happened either. He leads the team in scoring, but the Canucks don't have a 40-point guy on this roster this year. Josh Morrissey would be the leading scorer on the Vancouver Canucks, and that kind of gives you an idea. I think he's 4th on the Jets. So it's gone from bad to worse, and last night was sort of an oasis in a desert. They don't score many goals, and for them to get to 6, it was just the 2nd time this season that they have scored more than 5 goals in a hockey game. And as you mentioned, the Blackhawks are in their own world of hurt. Yeah. And so Arvid Soderblom wasn't very good last night. Spencer Knight was a late scratch, and the Canucks capitalized on some shaky goaltending. And you just add it all up, and it's been one thing after another, and it has all led to the Canucks being firmly entrenched in 32nd and dead last in the National Hockey League standings.
I'm sure you've answered this question many times with regards to Elias Pettersson, but has there been any sign that he is going to return to the player that we've all seen in years past?
Short answer is no. I can expound, but the short answer is no. It's the other day, this past week was 2 years since he signed that mega contract extension, and it's really just been in full decline since then. And it's baffling. It's baffling to him. It's baffling to people in the organization. It's certainly baffling to those of us that cover the team and fans that watch it. I mean, this guy was a 102-point player before the age of 25. You don't find many that have that on their resume, and yet here he is now scuffling along, and we'll see if he can even get to 50 points on the season this year. It's a little bit of chicken and egg in that the Canucks center ice depth was questionable to begin with, and then got thin in a hurry, and they just didn't have players in the organization that could fill the gaps. But beyond that, the wingers that they've had, whether it's Brock Besser, Jake DeBrusk, Connor Garland, who was traded the other day, they've all had histories of scoring goals in the National Hockey League, and it has just been such a struggle for all of those guys. Now, Besser scored twice last night and has scored a back-to-back game, so maybe he's starting to come out of his personal wilderness a little bit. It's just been a weird season for Jake DeBrusk. Led the Canucks with 28 goals a year ago in his first season here in Vancouver. Last night was just his third 5-on-5 goal of the season, and they've played 62 games. So go figure. He's had some power play production, but at 5-on-5, it's just been a wasteland. And it's funny that you played and showed the Gus Nyquist highlight there, because until he got traded, Connor Garland, one of the storylines here was that you never questioned his effort, but Connor Garland's last goal came in mid-December, and it was an empty netter. He hadn't scored on a National Hockey League goaltender since November 26th in Anaheim. And, I basically have one of those statistics for just about every guy on the roster. And so they haven't scored enough. They've given up way too many. They've got the worst penalty kill in the National Hockey League. And any way you slice it, it hasn't been pretty out here. There have only been a couple of guys, Drew O'Connor, who scored last night up to 15 goals. He's been a bright light in a dark season. Linus Karlsson, who was a big part of the Abbotsford Canucks run to the Calder Cup last year, had a nice start to the season, got a contract extension, but like so many others, he's gone quiet as well. And, kind of the running joke is out here in Vancouver, at the end of the year, every team gives out its year-end awards, and one of the Canucks' year-end season-ending awards is most exciting player. And it's kind of a dead heat across the board. And nobody deserves to win it this year. Can Kiefer Sherwood get it, even though he was traded away? Because Kiefer Sherwood still leads the Canucks in goals with 17. Nobody else is, and he hasn't played here in 6 weeks. So, again, this is sort of the material that we are working with out here on the West Coast.
So where do they go from here, Jeff?
20 games remaining, and as I said, the rebuild is on. They traded away Myers. They traded away Garland. A couple of other minor deals as well. They've got 4 defensemen in their lineup tonight that are under the age of 24, so the youth movement is in full effect here, and it really is about watching their development. It's getting some of the younger guys up front an opportunity, and they got schooled by Dallas in Vancouver the other night. Now, Dallas had rattled off 10 straight wins before they lost last night. They're doing it to a lot of teams, but most nights, even though they're overmatched, there's been a battle level. They've shown up. The effort hasn't been in question. Against the Stars, it looked like the Canucks kind of rolled over. And so both the coaching staff and management said, that just can't happen, right? There may not be many wins the rest of the way, but it is the big leagues. These guys are getting paid well. It's about showing up, putting in an honest effort, playing for yourself and your teammates, professional pride, all those types of things. And I think here the fan base, for the most part, is on board now. People have been screaming for a rebuild. The Canucks have taken shortcuts so many times over the last decade, and it does feel now like they're stripping it down. And, who knows if the lottery gods will shine on them. The Canucks have never had the first overall pick in their NHL history, but with where they are, they're going to be guaranteed a top 3 pick at the very least. And, that's going to be a big piece of the rebuild, but they need so much more than that. So once they traded away Quinn Hughes, the elite skill on this hockey team is lacking. And, where do you find that? Generally at the top of the draft. So it's going to be a slow process. You can't rebuild quickly in the National Hockey League. But over these final 20 games, Sarah, I think it is just about an honest effort. And they got it last night, spread some scoring around. If they do that, hey, they can hang with a lot of teams in the National Hockey League, but that doesn't guarantee that they're going to beat a lot of teams in the National Hockey League.
Well, Sarah lived in Vancouver. I also did for a little bit. I've been there quite a bit with the Jets. In the wintertime, it gets a little cold, even though there's not a lot of snow. We all love some soup. So, Jeff, bear with me for a second. Next question coming up after this. It's time for Soup's On.
We probably need to give people the heads up in advance. This is what
I know, but sometimes surprising people is a little bit better. So, Jeff, our question to you before we let you go is, what's your favorite soup at this time of year?
Can't say that I'm a huge soup guy, but I have through the years enjoyed a good French onion soup. So
always a classic.
Yeah, exactly. I don't stray too far from the norm. But yeah, serve me up a little French onion soup and I'm good to go.
You know what? We couldn't let you go, although we caught you off guard with it. We couldn't let you go because it is something that has become an every game topic within our chat about.
You would not believe where this has gone, my friend.
That's right, which is to the point that we now have a graphic about it. It's cold here. Many of us in this
See right
market
there,
love
French
soup.
onion, great choice.
See? So people are loving the choice for it. We love you playing along with us, Jeff. We appreciate it a great deal, and for making some time for us on this Saturday. And for those that are Canucks fans as well, or want to listen to a debrief after their games, whether they have gone well or not, where can people find you?
Yeah, so well as the free advertising behind me suggests, host Rinkwide, a post-game live stream after each and every game. So you can find us at Rinkwide Van on all of our social channels. And yeah, look, I've covered this team for 25 years. There have been some tough years along the way, but this has been a little bit different. This season, we have kind of fallen into this trap of saying, we work with the material that the hockey club provides. So, it's up to them. If they give us good things to talk about, we'll talk about them. Otherwise, sometimes we have to get a little creative. I might add soup to the list of
you have
no idea how much it'll blow up.
It takes off.
Yeah.
and
now, as I said, Onion, I'm thinking
it's
ramen.
I'm thinking on the West
good
Coast.
wonton soup. Yeah.
See, it's coming to you now.
World of opportunities, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
See you, Jeff.
One of my favorites. He has done a great job over the years covering the Canucks in a variety
There's
of
been a lot
capacities.
happening in Vancouver over that 25 years. So
Yes.
there's absolutely nothing boring about covering that hockey team.
No, absolutely not. Just quickly as we get going and wrap things up, remember it is a 6:00 game tonight, so an earlier start. We forgot to bring in the cowboy hats, but it is country night here. The first 5,000 fans through the doors here at Canada Life Center get a pretty fantastic country or cowboy hat.
It is pretty
So
good.
you don't want to miss out on that if you are coming
It's
to the
peak,
game.
as they say.
Is that what they say?
Yeah.
It's not what you should say.
No,
No.
that sounds ridiculous.
It
when I
does
said
sound
yeah,
ridiculous when you say that. Let's take a quick look at what the projected lines are one more time for it. Josh Morrissey returning to the lineup for the first time since the Canuck break. Brad Lambert was called up. And of course, the newest Winnipeg Jets, you will see Isaac.
Roseanne.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wearing number 27 will be in the lineup tonight. Jacob Bryson, the
78.
back end, wearing number 78. So looking forward to that. We do want to, though, just as we're finishing up here now, sad news today.
Yeah.
We joke around a lot on the show, but it was very sad news this morning when word came out that Troy Murray, longtime NHLer, former captain of the Winnipeg Jets, who had spent a couple seasons here, so beloved across this league and with many in this organization as well, had passed away after a courageous battle with cancer. He was just 63 years old, so wanted to give our condolences. Let all of you know there, but also to give our condolences to family and friends, and tremendous loss.
Yeah, a huge loss. Touched Troy a lot over the years in the
He was an
broadcast booth.
analyst for Chicago.
Yeah, one of the captains for 1.0.
Yep.
Great guy. So sad for his family and
Yeah.
sad for this organization. Of course, you just touched upon many people within this organization still have ties with Troy Murray. So condolences to his family.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us for another edition of Check-In. As we said, hard to believe. Game 62 tonight, 6:00 start on Sportsnet. The Jets 14-11-5 on home ice, and they will look to go 3-0 to start off this 8-game homestand. You and I will be back on Tuesday
7 points back. It's just crazy. You know what I mean?
for it.
Could be 5.
They just need to keep. They can
know.
only control what they can control.
Yes.
So
What's in front of them?
there you go. And tonight it's the Vancouver Canucks. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us.
See ya.